Okay, welcome everyone. We're trying to get the meeting set up here to go live to test that out. I'm not sure if I have the bandwidth for that with everything else that's happening here. So I want to thank you for joining us tonight. And it's the start of our spring conference. We're focused on the journey ahead and hoping that more will join us throughout the weekend as we go about our activities. We are focused this weekend on Doctrine and Covenants, section 164, verse 9. That's sharing that here before you. I'm not going to read the whole scripture tonight, as we're going to look at it several different ways throughout the weekend, but wanted to bring it before you. Most specifically tonight, we're going to look at kind of the final two parts. The challenges and opportunities are momentous. Will you remain hesitant in the shadows of your fears, insecurities, and competing loyalties? Or will you move forward in the light of your divinely instilled call and vision? The mission of Jesus Christ is what matters most for the journey ahead. So we're going to try to share now a video from the Leading Congregations in Mission process. It's now on the church's site called missionalleaders.org. This is available to use in your congregations or your own personal ministry. Hopefully this will come through for us tonight. It's called The Long Journey, and it's going to talk a little bit about mission.
Mission is elemental. It is the essence, the purpose, and it begins at the source. Mission, it shifts and it spreads. It weaves and it moves. It is gentle yet persistent. Along the way, it takes forms that are unknown and unexpected. Some solid and tangible. And in other ways, it simply exists around us in a way we can sense, but not always see. All the while, it continues to move. Sometimes it is loud and can't be missed. Other times it may go unnoticed and can barely be heard. But no matter its form, its purpose is the same. And along the way, new things are created. Old pieces are formed into something new. And by its very nature, when allowed to move freely, one can't help but be caught up in it. Mission. It surrounds and connects us, absorbs us and replenishes us. But there's no exact speed. No precise form. The shape may change. The path traveled may differ. But the direction is the same. And it begins at the source.
All right, our overview of our weekend is in front of you there. Tonight, you're here already for the welcome. Tomorrow morning, I invite you to join us back at 9 o'clock for our keynote session with Apostle Lach Mackay. And then we'll have a break from 11 to 1 and start again at 1 o'clock with presentations on different resources. All right, our overview of our weekend is about those on the website. Tonight, you're here already for the welcome. Generally be tomorrow morning. Discernment tools. I invite you to join us back at tips and tools for 9 o'clock. Ministries for our keynote session with Apostle Lach for disciple development. And especially those we'll have a break from 11 to 1. And start again at 1 o'clock with presentations, summer camping, different resources. All right, our overview of our weekend a little bit more about those on the website. Worship already for the welcome. Generally be tomorrow morning. Discernment tools. I invite you to join us back at tips and tools for 9 o'clock. Ministries for our keynote session with the resources for disciple development. And especially those we'll have a break from 11 to 1. And start again at 1 o'clock. So I wanted to give you that overview. I also wanted to share an announcement that we are the website. We've had an update. Generally be tomorrow morning.
Dan?
To join us back at tips and tools for 9 o'clock in the our keynote reopening guidelines for congregations.
Dan,
Development.
may I stop you for a second?
Those
Dan?
to one. So I wanted to give you that overview. I also wanted to share an announcement that we are
Dan?
We've had an update.
Dan?
Erica, can you hear us?
I need to, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's something going on with the audio. We can't understand what you're saying. May I stop you for a second? Dan?
Yes.
Okay, I think you might need to stop sharing for a second and then see if that'll help you kind of get the audio back on track. Okay.
Okay, I think it was because I was doing the live on Facebook.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna have to stop the live stream because then it's looping back on my computer. I can't hear it, but all of you can apparently. So
Yeah.
okay. So one of the other co-hosts, you can try to do a live stream.
Okay, I can try to do that.
All right, apologize for that. We'll get that figured out. Hopefully we can go back. Seems like then we were good through the video clip, but it just kept going on your end. Okay. All right, then quickly then just to go over the conference schedule, you saw it there. Tomorrow morning, I invite you to join us for our keynote session with Apostle Mackay. And then again in the afternoon, we've got some presentations. They will focus on discernment tools, on resources for congregations for disciple development, and tips and tools for online ministries. And then on Sunday morning, we'll have a summer camp preview to start at 9 o'clock and then a worship from 9:30 to 10:30. So we invite you to invite more folks throughout the weekend and join us for the rest of those sessions. We also wanted to share this evening that pastors have been given an updated set of guidelines for reopening congregations in Michigan now that case numbers have gone down and vaccinations are increasing. We have updated guidance from the USA Apostles that allow mission center presidents and pastors to work together on the necessary local guidelines. And we've decided at this point in Michigan that all congregations are permitted to meet outdoors without any restrictions really. So outdoor meetings are permitted starting now. That would include singing, sacraments, sharing items, whatever that might look like outdoors for congregations. We're also permitting all congregations to meet indoors without the need for a specific reopening plan, but we will still have the guidelines for indoor meetings of wearing masks, not singing, and not sharing meals, since we're still a little bit above the 100 per million area in Michigan. And not everyone is yet at a fully vaccinated stage we're asking those guidelines to still be followed indoors, but that will be a little bit less work than all of the cleaning checklists and sign-in sheets and things that were being asked previously. So just wanted to give you that update. That doesn't mean your congregation will necessarily be changing this week, but hopefully soon your pastor will be sharing with you what will locally be happening with each congregation. Although we are looking at the end of some of the pandemic guidelines, it's not over yet. There's certainly worldwide impact that we have to be aware of, and even local risk, although it's much lower, it's still there. And some populations, including younger children and people who may be immune compromised and not able to be vaccinated, will have some risk for time to come. We're not looking to return back to normal, quote unquote, as it might have been. And so we're looking this weekend with our theme of the journey ahead to think about where we might need to go, what lessons we might need to take with us from the last year and a half, what tools have we learned, what experiences have we had that will help us be more dynamic and relational, even when we can be back to in person. So that's going to be a lot of our focus. We're going to be asking maybe questions that might seem difficult for some of you, for others, questions you've been waiting for. But we're going to overall be asking you to think about risking something new, to think about where is the journey ahead going for you individually and also for your congregation. So I want to share a music video that sort of puts the words and thoughts of the mission prayer, some of you might be familiar with, into music and image. Again, this is a Community of Christ resource, and it's available to use in your congregations.
Make some space for dreaming, God's future unfolding in unexpected places and old and new faces. See with new eyes what could be. Where will you lead me today? And in everything that comes my way, may I be courageous and bold, willing to risk, move out of the old, and live into who I am. Lean into the adventure, risk new mission together, giving not into fear, holding trust ever near, creating what will be with God. Where will you lead me today? And in everything that comes my way, may I be courageous and bold, willing to risk, move out of the old, live into who I am. Settle into unsettledness, holy disruption and mindfulness, falling down and then getting up again, learning what to bring, what to leave. Where will you lead me today? And in everything that comes my way, may I be courageous and bold, willing to risk, move out of the old, live into who I am. Timeless truths we know in our heart bring clarity and give wisdom apart. What do we find but new insights arise? Life's changed direction, therein the truth lies. Where will you lead me today? And in everything that comes my way, may I be courageous and bold, willing to risk, move out of the old, and live into who I am. Live into who I am. Where will you lead me today?
So we're thinking about willing to risk, and as a mission center, we have the potential for a new experience. Here in Michigan, we have owned the Campus Ministry Center in East Lansing for over 20 years now. I hope many of you are familiar with it. It's been known as Journey House for quite a while. The board that operates the house has decided at the end of 2020 to end the operations as they were, leasing to students in college programs. And that meant that the asset turns back to the Mission Center for use or distribution in some way. And the Mission Center officers have been dialoguing with each other, with the East Lansing congregation that meets here, with the current board and with the Mission Center Council over the last several months to think about what could we do differently with this property, or what opportunities might we have in front of us. And our prayer and consideration and exploration has led us to the idea that we're going to risk something new in the coming months with this facility. And we wanted to share tonight a little bit about what we have here, and then also our idea for its use going forward. And to get some feedback from you, we have a poll that hopefully will work to get some input and a chance to offer some comments through the chats once you hear this. So to give an overview for those who haven't been there, go back to the picture quickly. You're seeing the front view of the house from Grand River Avenue, which is kind of the main thoroughfare through East Lansing, Michigan. This is sort of built into a hill. And so on the backside, there's another level below this, a basement level that has ground access on the backside. And our property is right along the Red Cedar River, which goes through the Michigan State campus. Those of you who are Spartans know of it. It's in the fight song. So just to give you that kind of lay of the land, and then a quick description of our building. It's a historic home built around 1920, late 1920s, not quite 100 years old, but approaching that. Community of Christ purchased it in 1999 and did some renovations and expansions on it. You can't see those from the front because the historic restrictions require us to keep the front view as it is, but we can change things along the back, and we have. We're currently licensed for 13 residents with the city of East Lansing. And just to give a description of what we have from the ground up, we have the basement level. There's a fitness room there, a laundry room, a few different storage and mechanical rooms, and a 2-car garage. And there's also a parking level there outside the garage that has 7 parking spots. Then on the first floor that you see from the street, we have a study area, lots of built-in shelves, a living room, nice open living room with a fireplace, not operable right now. The dining room, kitchen, and a half bathroom for guest use. And then there is a new addition there, a fully accessible apartment that has a kitchenette, a full bathroom, 1 bedroom, and a small patio kind of overlooks the river. Going up to the second floor, we have 6 bedrooms total, and they can each house 2 individuals right now. That gives us our 12 residents and 1 manager in the apartment for our 13 licensed folks. Those bedrooms, 2 of them have no bathroom in them. 4 of them have half bathrooms, just sink and toilet. And then in the hallway, there's 1 half bathroom and then 4 showers in the hallway, shower rooms. Then up to the 3rd floor, it's an open entertainment area, kind of a loft area, not for occupancy, but we can use it for entertainment, games, TV, those kinds of things. And each side has 2 small study workrooms up there as well. I mentioned it's on the banks of the Red Cedar River. It's close to MSU's campus, just around the corner from the northeast side of Michigan State. It's easy access to the Michigan's Capitol building, located on the main bus route, and several stores, restaurants, hotels, all within walking distance, just to kind of give you imagery of that if you haven't been there. So we have this wonderful property, and we're thinking about how can we use it. In the past, again, it's been used for campus ministry, lots of activities there for students all throughout the area, and then we've been housing students, Community of Christ and others who have applied to live there as residents on leases, paying rent for the last 21 years now. The requirement has been that they are in some program beyond high school, and that they sign a covenant basically to agree to Community of Christ standards, and then obviously to share their bedroom and share the kitchen and other spaces in the house. That ministry has been going really well, but the housing dynamics have changed greatly for college students, and the market really just isn't there, and we haven't been able to attract regularly tenants enough to fill the house. And the board really felt that they had become just a landlord, since funding had gone away and over the last 10 years really for assigned campus ministers and efforts that had happened when the house was first envisioned. So what we've decided as a plan forward is to shift the focus slightly, although some of this is going back to the original plans for the house in 2000, to make it a center for disciple development. And these would be the kind of 6 primary uses. 1, it would still be the meeting location for the East Lansing Community of Christ. So we have a congregation there. They've been great supporters of the building, but also lots of ministry, and they intend to do that. They would continue that ministry whether they have the building or not, but since we're planning to continue with it, they would like to meet there and support it. It would still be a meeting location for campus ministry events, whatever those might be, lunches, dinners, study groups, guitar classes, etc. And then we would use the study room and begin to develop a Mission Center lending library. So it would have books, Community of Christ resources from the Herald and Seminary Press, but also beyond books, things like the Labyrinth that the Mission Center has, projectors, laptops, screens, easels, all the things you might need for a presentation. We have hymnals and music resources, DVDs. We even have old slides and VHS things. So we try to kind of assemble Community of Christ resources that people might want, current and historic, to use for study, research, whatever the case might be. We'd likely have some open hours where you could come and just drop in. It could also be by appointment to use the resources or be there in the library for study. And then we would have 3 possibilities for housing that would kind of use the library maybe, or for other purposes. 1 would be potentially for interns and Graceland students, particularly seminary students, but other Graceland students. And this would work basically, a person of any age would develop a plan for how they might intern with the Mission Center. And then we would work out an arrangement for housing, and I'll get to that. And then sabbatical stays, those would be personal retreats and small group classes, workshop, and retreats as well. So let me go ahead. We've got some more details on those ideas. I think I mentioned these already on the library books, but also I didn't mention Mission Center conference records, printing, copy scanning, those kinds of things that you might expect at a library. Another benefit for having the library is that we often get resources from congregations that close, or family members who are looking to pass on items. And we don't have a good central location to put those. And we also don't have a good catalog of what we have and what we need. So developing this library would help us to know, which Roy Cheville books we have and which seminary press books we have, so that when we get those donations, we can more quickly tell people if we need another copy or not, what's already available, and help people make those decisions. Or we can take those donations and sort through them much more quickly and pass things on, or recycle what we don't need extras of. The text here is a little small, so I'm not sure if you can get everything. This is the internship idea. It would be 30 hours of service for 1 month of housing. So basically an hour a day, so to speak, and the terms could be worked out with the individual. Again, this would be for any age, and we could potentially offer seminary tuition assistance or enrollment assistance for those who have college bachelor degrees and want to go on to the master's program in the seminary. These would be the rooms up on the second floor with shared space in the rest of the house. Some ideas we came up with for internships, but could be anything else, might be family camp or youth camp staff. So someone wants to be a lifeguard or a counselor throughout the summer, log a lot of hours for us, and then use those hours for housing the rest of the year. Or they might want to plan a retreat or help a spec. One of our teams, like Earth Stewardship, Diversity and Inclusion, which we'll share more about. Lots of different things, or new ideas that people have on how they want to live out their ministry. One of our thoughts with this idea is that we don't really have the pathways we used to have for people to get into church leadership positions and church employment, since we've lost a lot of staff positions. So this might be a way, although we can't offer a salary, we could offer housing and training and opportunities to network with other leaders, mentor into those kinds of roles for people who might be interested in that. The sabbatical stays is an idea that we have for a way to offer something to priesthood members and ministry leaders and congregations and Mission Center level for people who need some time away to study, to focus on a class, a sermon, a research project, prepare for a new term as a pastor or CFO or camp director. We've seen a lot of people, in the pandemic time, looking for places to be able to work, but still have some separation or time away. And East Lansing is a great place where people would have lots of access to things. We have, full internet and restaurants and stores. So this could be a place where people could come, potentially still work if they need to remotely, but then be able to be with others, studying, focusing on projects at night, or just taking a full day, week, or month to renew themselves so they can be better serving in ministry. So again, this would be the rooms up on the second floor, or potentially the apartment. That would depend on if we have a resident manager at the house or not, whether the apartment would be available. And at this point, we're thinking it would be reserved to Community of Christ leaders for these kinds of stays. We could potentially explore that to work with other denominations who might have people looking for ordained ministers wanting sabbaticals and what that might look like. But for now, we would initially start with to see if there's a use for Community of Christ leaders. Primarily in Michigan, but throughout the world, really, we'd be open to that if people really wanted to come here and stay. So that's sort of a quick overview of what we have and what we're thinking of doing with our property soon here. The current residents will likely be moved out by the end of June. And so we'll have some cleaning and, minor upkeep and things to do. So likely this would start sometime in August or September, depending on how each item works out. So it'll be a little bit longer and we'll have more information coming out. But we wanted to share that with you tonight and let you know that you can contact me with ideas. And right now we have a poll. Hopefully it will work. If Adam can launch the poll, you'll start to see on your screen 5 questions that come up. Is that coming through for you? Okay. We don't get to see it as hosts, so it's kind of hard for us to know if it's working or not. So I believe you'll be able to go down. You'll have to answer each of the 5 questions, and then you'll be able to submit after you answer those. Okay, Adam, how does that? Does it look like we've got quite a few responses?
Let's see. I'm not positive. It's not showing any percentage, so attendees are now viewing question 0 of 26, so 0% voted.
I can see that 23 out of 28 of us have voted.
Okay.
I'm not sure if that counts the hosts or not.
It's weird how they divide this up.
Looks like it does not
I
count.
can hit go on the poll, but somebody else can read the stats. A third person.
Okay, we'll leave that up there if you are still working on it. I think it'll stay for you. And then we'll come back to that in a few moments. I want to open it up. We've got a little bit of time, more than I thought. I will allow you to raise your hand if you know how to use the raise hand feature, or if you can't figure that out, just kind of wave. If you have a question or an idea about the Campus Ministry Center after hearing that brief presentation. See any hands waving? Okay. Oh, I see a hand. Was that Joanne? Did you have a? I'll have to accept the unmute, Joanne, if you wanted to ask a question.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Am I here? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
I just wanted to say, I think this sounds like a wonderful opportunity. At my age and position, I have nothing really to offer at this point, but it seems like younger people should find this to be an attractive option. Just want to encourage you to persevere.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, well, we appreciate your feedback. Again, we'll leave the poll open a little bit longer, and then we'll collect those results tonight, and that'll help us inform a little bit more. But expect to see more through the announcements and upcoming in the weeks and months to come. And if you know of someone, a younger person, an older person, whoever that might be, that you think, you know, they would love to stay there for a day, a week, or they'd really love to be an intern, or they're interested in the seminary, we're going to hear from Zach Harmon McLaughlin, who directs the seminary, a little bit on Sunday morning, and they are still taking applications for this coming fall semester. We've got several people throughout the Mission Center, some of them on this call tonight, who've been through the seminary program, and I'm sure would love to share their experiences with you about that if you have any interest in that or know somebody who might. So we've got some time. I think it would help maybe to share some updates on some new things that we're doing for our journey ahead at a few other places. I'll briefly say that all three of the campgrounds that we continue to care for in Michigan are hoping that we can open in some form this summer. We're kind of feverishly working for plans to share on Sunday yet for our family camps and other events. The youth camp dates have gone out just last week, so hopefully we'll have all that to share with you Sunday morning and kind of give you an outlay of where we're at with that. Our campgrounds did certainly have some budget deficits last year. You know, we weren't allowed to have people gathering there and bringing in income. Sanford Campground was very fortunate to have a slight income since we didn't have an employee there needing to keep up the grounds. Our volunteers do a great work, and we don't have a lodge there also with the utility costs throughout the winter and summer. At Park and Blue Water, we have more expenses, but we're working hard and getting close, I think, to taking care of those deficits. And so we certainly would ask for your continued support on work days as volunteers, and also through your contributions for all three campground properties going forward. We also have, in addition to those three, and Journey House, Campus Ministry Center, which you just heard about, we have a property in Detroit that has a church building, an office building, and an empty lot, all three together, that we continue to operate. And we're doing some things that I think are exciting for our journey ahead. Last year, just a few months prior to the pandemic, we formed a partnership with a neighborhood group called Brightmoor Connection Food Pantry. They had been down the road about a mile or so, and their location was not working out. And it just so happened I was at a conference and got a phone call from a person at the same time, and we were at the same conference in Detroit a few days later. And it all worked out. We signed a lease with them where they are now renting the sanctuary space in the building, which helps us cover nearly all of our building costs for what's known as the Detroit Hope building. And the congregation still has the fellowship hall and kitchen and computer lab to use. And so it's been a great relationship. And really over the past year, since we weren't using the building for in-person gatherings, they were able to use it for their food pantry ministry. They would package all their items and then deliver outside to people and keep the building going well for us. And now we have some funds to do some upgrades, so we'll soon be launching that. They're going to be hosting a launch for a health ministry that they've got grant funded coming up. So we have an event coming in early June with a city council member and some other folks. Some really great news with them. We've been working with partners, Voices for Earth Justice and the National Wildlife Federation, and also Michigan State University, which has a urban farming center just a block away from us that's opened up this past year, on how we can be part of those relationships to promote sacredness of creation. And we have received a grant to install a rain garden, which will divert some of the runoff from our buildings from going into the storm system, which in Detroit often gets overwhelmed in storms, and be a witness to the community about native plants and how they help with pollination and other things in the area. So we're working on that project, and the congregation is hoping to reopen the Computer Technology Center that's been there for several years to help with employment resources and potentially with youth tutoring and skill development. So there's a lot of great things happening in the neighborhood, and we're trying to use our building as best we can. We do still rent the office building to the tenant we've had for many years, Northwest Detroit Neighborhood Development. They do work with housing and affordable housing and getting people into home ownership. They've had a lot of struggles from the 2008 recession, and we're just getting out of that, and the pandemic hit. But I talked to their leader just a couple days ago, and he said some new projects are on the horizon, and they're hopeful they can continue their work. So we really have some great things happening in our Mission Center properties in Detroit, and hopefully that will continue to grow in the days ahead. And a new adventure for us is going to be emerging in the Grand Rapids area. As we looked at some net proceeds from building sales, the first was from the former Hastings building, which is now part of the Thornapple River congregation. The congregation members there supported an idea we had to ask for some of the proceeds to be put into a Grand Rapids area mission fund. We don't know what that will be for. We don't know where that will go. Our idea was to put some funds aside so that we could start to dream about what could we do in the Grand Rapids area. So that would allow us then to have our 3 campground properties kind of across northern Michigan, central Michigan, and over in the Thumb. And then in the southern portion of the state, we would have our Detroit property, our ministry center in East Lansing, and then something, not necessarily a property, but a collective ministry we hope will emerge in the Grand Rapids area. It may not. We don't know where discernment will lead for us over there, but we have a small amount of seed money now, and we may have some additional funds coming from some other building proceeds. And so in the months to come, we're going to be working with the pastors and leaders and members in Grand Rapids and in the broader Southwest area of Michigan to think about what does a mission center ministry look like in that area now and moving forward. So those are some of our updates from a mission center perspective. Adam, if you're able to close the poll now and see if you can display the results for everyone to see.
I just ended it.
Okay.
And I'll show results.
And does that come up for you folks? Okay. Just not the host, strangely enough. I'll give you a moment to glance at that and kind of see what the feedback was. Erica, did you want to read this poetic interpretation? It's your work, so.
Oh, sure. Yeah, these words are simply drawn from the focus text that we were looking at this weekend. Sort of condensed down the message that was given to us in 164:9. Truly be community of Christ. Embody and live Christ's concerns, passion, challenges, fears, insecurities, loyalties remain in shadows. Opportunities, divine call, vision, move in light. The mission of Jesus Christ, our journey ahead.
Thank you, Erica. So again, tonight we're launching our weekend, bringing focus to our scripture and our theme of the journey ahead, and also highlighting our intention to think about mission in all that we do. So instead of just returning to any patterns or activities we had on the calendar just because we had them, trying to think about what is our mission and how can we best live it out now. What might look different, what might need to be what we did long ago, what might need to be what we did recently, but in a different way. What can we think of or add so that we can reach as many people as we possibly can and best achieve our mission initiatives. So we're asking you to be uncomfortable this weekend. We're asking you to wrestle with potential for change, with what's happening in our world, the differences in our families, in our jobs, economy, our politics, our culture, and think about how does the story of Jesus, how does the story of our church as a prophetic people, how does that resonate with you, and what might it have to bless others that you know of? So I'm going to offer now another resource that you might be interested in from missionalleaders.org. Again, we're highlighting this website because it's full of Community of Christ resources, videos that you might share in an online context or when you're meeting in person with each other. And this is a closing prayer for tonight, but it's a prayer of disruption. It might not be a prayer we often think about having in our time together. It's based on a poem by Joyce Rupp, and the words will just be on the screen, so you'll have to read them as there's background music, but they're not spoken in the video clip. it is my prayer that you might be disrupted in some way as we go through this weekend to think about something new for the journey ahead. We invite you back tomorrow morning, again at 9 a.m. We'll be starting the keynote session. Our Apostle Lach Mackay will be with us. He'll be sharing thoughts about from a global perspective, a USA perspective, and also within the Mission Center about Christianity, community of Christ, what all of this looks like for us right now, trends that we see, and what the journey ahead might be looking like for us together. So we invite you back in the morning. We wish you peace and rest this evening, even as you might be disrupted. Good night, everyone.